Hi, my name is Eli. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm a library science student at URI. I'm going to quickly go through a few points to look for when looking at representation in books featuring characters with physical disabilities and give some personal book recommendations. The World Health Organization points out some key facts about disabilities around the world. About 1.3 billion people experience significant disability. That's 1 in 6 people, or 16%, and that's for significant disabilities. Those with disabilities are at higher risk to develop depression and other physical and mental health issues and comorbidities. Some disabilities can even reduce one's lifespan by roughly 20 years compared to those without disabilities. There are many equity issues when it comes to health, transportation, housing, poverty rates, and more. Some of these issues are structural, as with laws which reduce the bodily autonomy and independence of those with disabilities. On top of that, there are social stigmas, discrimination, issues in employment and education, and barriers within the health system itself. Despite how much of the global population experiences some form of disability, representation is severely lacking in the publishing industry. In 2019, a survey by the Publishers Association showed that only 3.4% of the children's books published the previous year had a main character with a disability. The push for more representation of disabilities and visibility of authors with disabilities exists. Equity needs to be created, as well as space for intersectional identities within the disabilities community. Thankfully, there are more titles coming out and ongoing work to help create guidelines for respectful and authentic representation of disabilities in media and literature. A few things to note. Pay attention to what kind of language is used, how characters are referred to, and how disabilities are talked about. Books and other media should not normalize the use of offensive phrases and harmful stereotypes. They shouldn't avoid talking about or including disabilities, but this inclusion shouldn't be tokenized. Everyone has strengths, weaknesses, flaws, and differences, so characters shouldn't be perfect nor a shallow foil or trope. Authentic representation typically involves research, consulting members of said community, or bonus points if the author or creator is a member of that community. And with that, it's time for the recommendations. I chose to select specifically manga titles as its presence in professional and academic library spheres is pretty lacking. Manga are Japanese graphic novels. They are an export and a cultural product. They read from right to left and almost always have glossaries and explanations in the back for cultural and language references. The first series is Run on Your New Legs, a sports slice of life series. High school student Shota loses the ability to play soccer after an accident results in the amputation of his right leg from above the knee down. The story shows his journey as he struggles to accept his new life. Flashbacks go into his early recovery. His mental state and relationships with others are explored throughout as he discovers the world of athletic prostheses and pursues the new goal of becoming a runner. The story is informative throughout, has many characters with different mobility-related physical disabilities, and credits the people they consulted at the back. Josie, the Tiger, and the Fish is a romance drama. It follows Tsuneo, a college marine biology student with a passion for scuba diving, and Josie, a girl born paralyzed from the waist down who lives with her overprotective grandmother. The two have a chance meeting that entangles their lives as Tsuneo becomes the caretaker to the very temperamental Josie. Slowly, the two learn more about each other and grow closer with various ups and downs. Tsuneo doesn't look down on her, and he expects her to be independent, and helps her gain more independence throughout. Josie's excitement when they start taking short trips expands the way he sees the world, as does her beautiful artwork when he eventually sees it. The two support each other's dreams, and the dramatic twists and turns are an emotional ride. This story exists as a novel, movie, and manga, and the movie is absolutely gorgeous. It is very worth watching. The manga matches its beauty and illustrations, and the story is a one-to-one, essentially. The next series is I Hear the Sunspot. It's a queer BL, which stands for Boys Love, slice of life drama. Kohei and Taichi have an odd first meeting before later bumping into each other and realizing they go to the same college. After suffering from hearing loss as a child, Kohei became withdrawn over time as he struggled to connect with most peers and considered himself and his needs to be a burden. Taichi's bold, open, and impulsive personality helps him get to know the more quiet, standoffish Kohei. The two grow closer, eventually developing romantic feelings for each other. The story shows Taichi working on learning sign language. Many characters in the deaf community are introduced. The complicated opinions on cochlear implants are discussed and more in this ongoing series. Next is A Silent Voice, which is a drama. This story originally was a movie. It's very incredible. I definitely recommend it. It was later then adapted into a manga. Our main character, Shoya, is a bully. We start out in elementary school where he starts picking on Shoko, a girl who can't hear, after she transfers to his school. When the tables eventually turn, Shoya becomes the target of bullying and ostracization, and he closes himself off to his classmates. We jump to the future when he's in high school, and he's still shut off from people. But when he bumps into Shoko at the center where he's been learning sign language, things start to move. He works on apologizing to her, they reconnect a bit awkwardly, and they're both confronted with their past classmates over the course of the story as well. The series explores social conflict, active change, mental health, and character growth through personal effort. The last series I'm going to mention is A Sign of Affection, which is a romance drama. This story follows Yuki, a girl who is deaf and uses sign language, cochlear implants, and lip reading to help navigate and communicate. We see her going about her day-to-day life as a college student, primarily relying on text and lip reading to communicate with her closer friends. While taking a train home, she bumps into the story's male lead, Itsuomi, who she signs and gestures to that she can't hear. She has to depart, so the interaction is brief, but for the far-traveling Itsuomi, who loves learning about other people and studying language, he becomes curious to know more. They see each other at school and realize they attend the same college, which leads them to interacting more over time and blending friend groups. Itsuomi starts learning sign language on his own and with her, an action which encourages some of her friends to also start learning sign language. There's a colorful cast of characters, entertaining personalities and relationships, and some good old-fashioned romantic rivals. There are so many stories I could talk about, but I don't need to info dump for a decade, so just to note, the world of manga is one that exists in the context of where it originates, which is Japan. So with that in mind, other forms of representation are lacking as it's a reflection of that culture and history. Another thing to note is that while there are a lot of great queer series, there are a good number of problematic ones, especially when it comes to fetishization in BL, again, boys love, manga. Those series tend to make themselves pretty obvious though, as they place a heavy emphasis on sexualization over characterization. It's just something to note and look out for. I have found that every series I've picked up so far which feature characters with disabilities has been handled respectfully, informatively, and has been very narratively well thought out and composed. So with that is all that I had to say, and there are some helpful resources and my works cited at the end here. So thank you.